Hey guys, it's IRENE'S Braids and I am back with another video. So let's just jump right into it. So here are some products that I'll be using today on my client. We are going to be doing some large box braids in this beautiful color 99J, or I think it's a 33, either or. It's a beautiful color and we're excited to use it for fall. Here I have my handy dandy yellow bird blow dryer, and I am applying a little bit of this press and cream on her hair so that way once I blow dry it, it could help blow it out pretty straight. And here is how the results look after blow drying her hair. So now that her hair is blown out, I'm going to use my precision comb and I'm going to start parting out my rows. So instead of doing squares, we decided that we would do some triangular part box braids. So now I'm going to start out parting my triangular part box braids, but first I want to clean up the main row for my bottom layer. So when you're doing your triangle part box braids, you want to have 2 rows at the bottom, and then you'll start U-shaping your parts where it'll be 2 rows U-shaped, and then you'll have 1 row where you'll just part out into a middle part. So when doing your triangulars, you want to start off by parting towards the right side of your client's head. And then once you make your middle triangle, start parting out towards the right, and then you want to clean those parts up. So that's pretty much what I've done here. So I'm going to just keep going over the parts just to make sure they look as triangular as possible, so that way her parts look clean. So we're only going to have 3 braids towards the bottom. And the reason why is because we are trying to do larger box braids, so we don't want our parts to be too small. Alright, so now that I have the spray perfectly grouped in between my index and thumb finger, I'm going to take my left index finger and push it through, which means in between the hair. And I'm going to take that right side and bring it down while pushing my right index finger through the middle of her hair, and then taking my left hand and bringing the hair down and intertwining them until it creates a box braid. But while I'm doing that, I'm trying to make sure that I'm gripping at the root as close as possible, so that way the braid is secure to the root of her hair. Alright, guys, so we have approximately 5 braids towards the back. So this is, like I said, her second row. And underneath that row, we have 3 braids for our first row. So now that I've completed this second row, I'm going to start U-shaping my parts. So that way we could create some fuller braids. The goal is for her to at least try to get her braids in for about a month. Hopefully an extra week into the second month, but you know, these are larger box braids, so they're not going to last forever. And also, you guys, do not pay the back of my room any attention right now. This is just pretty much how a braider's desk is going to look if she's pretty busy. So you're going to have multiple things around. The hair that's on the floor in the corner is not the hair that we used. We used Expressions braiding hair. So that hair was okay. We were going to use it, but I didn't really quite like the way that the hair was made. And it was very hard to braid with. Expressions is just like top of the line, you guys. So if you're ever in a position where you're like, oh, I don't know what kind of hair to use, it's Expressions. There's just no understanding. Expressions. That's just the best hair. So yeah, I mean, I've come across other brands that are pretty good. They come pretty close, but Expressions is just my favorite. So yes, so here I am parting out my U-shaped row. This is the first U-shaped row that I've parted out. I will have approximately 2 rows of this for her entire head, and then I will finish out with a middle part. So let's continue watching. So as you guys can see, now that I've started out the first U-part row, I like to start off the shapes of my triangles by parting it towards the front of my client's face to start off my triangles. And then from there, I work my way from the top and then angling it out towards, you know, the right side. So that's how I pretty much shape my parts out so that way they can be as even as possible. Triangles are pretty fun, you know, clients like to have them just for the look of them. They think that the shapes are pretty cool, but you know, I prefer squares, but some people like triangles. But yeah, so that's how I do it. So I'm just alternating my parts. So wherever I start at, I will then take my comb, start at the top, and then angle it out towards what I've already completed when I'm doing my triangle parts. This video is pretty much detailing shapes, but then also how to install the braid. So if you're looking for a more detailed video on just triangle parting, I do have one available for you. So if you're able to go through my content and look for how to part out triangles, there is a video there that is highlighted on doing so. Now, here I am finishing up my last braid for this row. Well, my second to last braid for this row. And the color, I will say, is a very nice color. I think this is so appropriate for fall. This is a great color from, I would say, September up until Thanksgiving. So, and you can wear this past that, time frame as well, but this is definitely a great time frame to wear colors like this. So yeah, I really like this color. We use, I want to say, 4 packs of this hair to complete this install. So I do like to sometimes add in an extra piece of hair if I feel like the braid is not as thick as I need it to be. You could kind of feel it in your fingers when the hair is a little too thin and you need to add more so that way it's consistent when you're braiding. You don't want, a section of the hair to be thinner than the rest, and then it makes your braid look ununiform. So you definitely want uniform braids, and so therefore when you start to feel it in your fingers that is not as uniform, go ahead and add another piece of hair to build up on that braid. So this is the last braid here. Again, just to kind of go back over how to install it, you want to go ahead and make your braid into 3 legs. And then once it's into 3 legs, I like to then clamp on the hair between my index and thumb finger. And then I use my left hand, push it through the middle of her hair. So that way I get a good grip and the braid is nice and secure. Then take that right finger, push it through the middle, and then braid the braid in by intertwining it into the hair so that way it is secure. And as I'm braiding it, I like to make sure that the braid is as tight, but not, tight to where it's painful, but tight enough to where it is gripped in properly and her install is done nicely. So that is pretty much what I've done here. And like I said, you want to keep that consistency of the braid. And if you feel as though the braid is thinning out too much, you want to make sure that you add an additional piece of braiding hair like I've done here. So that way that the braid stays as thick as possible. And that way it's not ununiform, if that makes sense. Let's continue watching. Okay, you guys, so pretty much I'm going to make out her middle part. This is where we will do our middle part. Now, you could do 3 braids across the top, but I want her braids to last her at least for a month. So originally I started parting out her parts to just give her 3 triangle parts at the top. And I thought that would be so cute. I know a lot of clients like to have it, with bigger parts and not too many braids, but her goal was to definitely try to keep her braids in as long as she possibly could. So originally I did start braiding them out. Parting them out bigger, but then I was like, nah, let's just go ahead and make more braids. That way we can have more coverage. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how I like to part out those parts so that way we can have more. So here is where I did 3, right? So now let me show you how I do more braids. So we're going to go for 4. So start parting out towards the front of her face at an angle downward. So that way you could create your first triangle. So that'll be your first braid. Clean it up as much as you can so that way it could be as uniform as possible. Then I start at the top of where the middle part would begin, and I start angling it out towards my left so I can create a second triangle. Then I like to go up under and part it out at an angle towards the left of her head so that way we could create our third triangle. And by me doing it this way, I just feel as though we could have more braids so that way she can have more coverage, like I said before in the last clip. So let's continue watching, and then we'll come back to the final results. Okay, you guys, so this is pretty much how the braids are turning out. We're going to have one more braid to do, and this is the last braid. And then everything that I did on her left side of her head, I'm going to do to the right side of her head. So pretty much I'm going to make sure that I mirror those partings exactly the same. So make sure you take your comb and you start towards the top of where you started your first triangle part at, and then make sure you angle it and match it up as perfectly as possible on the opposite side that you have not done. So we have approximately 4 braids at the top, and once we finish out the other side, it'll be a total of 8 braids. So this is what it looks like that once we complete it. Now, once we're done, I'm going to just gel back her edges. I did use some Nairobi foam, and I added it into my electric kettle. And electric kettle is what I use to heat the water up so that I can dip her braids. So therefore, I did add in some Nairobi foam into that hot water. I saw someone on TikTok do it, and it says that it helps soften up the braids, and they are completely right. So I would not go for like a mousse because that's an alcohol base. I would go for more of a foam like Nairobi because it is an alcohol base, and it definitely did make the braids get nice and sleek the way that they should look. So that's just my preference on that. So this is how the braids look. I love the color. I think the color is absolutely beautiful, and the install came out pretty good, and she loves it as well. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.